Hey guys, Mr. Cos here. Got another question from a teenager. This one again is a teenager around the middle school age, so here we go. How do I tell my parents I'm failing without them taking away my phone, friends, and video games? This is a tough one because, as you know, when you're getting Fs, you don't have a lot of negotiating power with your parents. They're going to be upset. You're in the doghouse. The fear of losing all your freedom can cause you to panic and to freak out. But let me tell you right now, breathe slowly, deeply, and don't freak out. Because if you freak out, here's what you're going to do. You're going to start pleading with them, saying all these reasons and all these excuses. By the way, these are all excuses that they warned you about so that you wouldn't get an F. I was up late. It wasn't my fault. The teacher, didn't get my assignment in time. Regardless what your excuses are, if you got bad grades, especially if you have like multiple Fs, to try to convince your parents that the Fs weren't your fault or something happened outside your control that you couldn't, do anything about, that's the wrong play. That's the wrong approach to take. So instead, give this a shot. First, don't wait for your parents to find out your grades. You show them the grades. You print out your grades, pull it up on your phone, whichever your parents are used to doing, and you show it to them and you tell them that you want to go over your grades with them because you're disappointed in yourself. Best way to deal with a situation like this is confession. Like any confession, you're confessing hoping that the truth will set you free. Because we've all been told when we're younger, if we bring the truth to our parents, that our parents will ground us less, we'll be in less trouble. So tell your parents that. Say, hey, I want to admit to you, my grades are not what I thought they're going to be, and I'm disappointed in myself. I know when you see my grades right now, you're going to be disappointed with me as well. Just put it out there. Just state the obvious. Because again, if you try to defend this, it's only going to be worse. Once you approach your parents like this, you're going to have their attention. They're going to want to see what you're talking about. Then you tell them, I could give you a lot of excuses, go on and try to convince you that it wasn't my fault, but obviously they're my grades, so it's my responsibility. Ooh. Haven't your parents been telling you to be accountable all these years? Haven't your parents been telling you that if you make a mistake, you need to own up to it and you need to tell them up front? And if you do tell them up front, at least respect that you handle it better than trying to lie about it or make up some sort of excuse? So that's what you do. You tell your parents, you've always told me to be upfront and honest with you when I make a mistake so I can make up for it. And so that's what I'm doing right now. Show them the grades, and instead of giving excuses, just tell them, I want to sit here and beg for your forgiveness, but I realize I'm going to have some consequences, and I'm willing to accept those consequences. Again, your parents want to see accountability from you. What better way to be accountable than to tell your parents that you actually expect to be in trouble? Next, you tell them you have an idea. Because to confess your sins, to confess your mistakes, that's a good first step. But most parents are going to know, what are you going to do about it? What's the plan? Because you're only as good as your last performance. And if your last grade said that you had D's and F's or whatever it was that your parents don't want you to get, then in their eyes, you're not doing good at school because your last performance did not meet their expectations. This is where you present to them a plan. Tell them that since you have not been able to perform and get the grades that you should have got, that you have a couple ideas to make the next quarter better. Now, you're not going to promise them some ridiculous things. Instead of promising them all these things that you're going to do so that you don't get in trouble, you simply go to them and tell them, why don't we come up with a plan? And the plan that you should suggest to them is that at the start of the next quarter, or the next grading period, whatever it's called, semester quarter, at the start of the next grading period, you believe that your parents should meet with you once a week for the first 3 weeks to look at your grades every Friday. And if you have more than 3 missing assignments, then you will go without something for that weekend to show them that you're willing to give up something that's important to you to acknowledge that the grades were not done. Most teenagers that I do this with, they will go to their parents and say, hey, listen, if I don't get less than 3 missing assignments come Friday, then I have to either go without my phone for the weekend, Maybe I can't hang out with my friends. I can't play video games. You have to pick something that they know is important to you and you like a lot. Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, gee, why would I do that? Why would I voluntarily put myself in some sort of jail at home where I'm not free to do things I want to do? Because if you bring this to your parents are going to be impressed, and they're also going to realize that you're coming to negotiate, not to demand. Something that all parents tell me that they absolutely hate and they cannot stand. They can't stand when their teenagers beg and plead with them to give them freedoms that they didn't deserve, because now the parents feel like they're a bad person or mean if they come down hard on you and they take away their freedoms. But if you say, hey, listen, I think I should lose some of my freedoms. Let's come up with a weekly plan where you guys check my grades once a week. And if I have too many missing assignments, I lose something from that. Your parents are seeing that you have an idea of creating a solution. That's what you want your parents to think of you. That you're no longer the little elementary school kid that's trying to beg and plead their way out of trouble. Instead, you're getting older and you're getting wiser, and a wise person knows you got to admit your mistakes and then come up with a plan to make sure it doesn't happen again. Now, in every family situation, every parent and their personality is going to be different. So I don't know exactly how your parents are going to take this, but it is going to drastically increase your probability that your parents are going to come up with better ideas of helping you get better grades instead of just focusing on the part where you made a mistake and they need to punish you. If your parents are thinking about a plan for you to be successful, they're spending less time thinking about what they can take away from you to punish you. That's my suggestion for this question. Give it a shot. I call it the Parent-Teen Partnership Agreement. If your parents have any questions about how this works, I'll put a link to a TED Talk that I gave that was specifically about the Parent-Teen Partnership Agreement, so your parents understand that they can see you as a partner instead of that little kid that needs to be punished and needs to be handheld to success.